Hello again, Naija. Welcome to Economy Today. Economy dey better. Economy dey better. Truly, if this economy dey better, who e really dey better for? Why Naija people continue to dey complain say they no dey feel am? You count, e don dey reach 3 years now. This government on chair don dey tell us say economy dey turn the corner. Things are getting better. Light dey by the end of the tunnel. Abeg, bear with us. Oh, we feel your pain. And plenty other yarnings here and there. Then say wahala go soon reduce. Life go soon better. But still, country people say they never dey see any changes. Before we go continue, make we take a very sharp break. And then we will enter the cocoa of the matter. Stay with us. Like play. On May, for inside May 2023, as Oga Presido Bola Tinubu take over government, there, he announced, say fuel subsidy don't go. Next thing, he make dollar market free. Plenty other changes and plenty other doings them. Governments continue to tell us, say economy they recover. Say economy don't they smile again. But when you enter streets, when you enter markets, when you go people houses, they know they smile. Hunger still dey, work still scarce, money still no get value. In short, we no go gree even bust June last year sake of say people don't tire. That na why we bring economy today, so that we go understand wetin really dey happen. Not be big English, na reality. And na we go to talk about. That na why ogbonge economy sabi person go there with us inside studio to pieces all of this matter down. Before all of that, my name na Princess Aniana, and na me go follow you run this waka today. The person we be so go together waka for on top the program na Oladayo Olaide, governance and strategy experts. We also get plenty experience to the work with non-profit organizations. Oga Dayo, we welcome you to Economy Today and we say thank you for joining us.
I hail you, Princess. How are you?
Fine, thank you. How you doing, sir?
How
the weather over there?
The weather day somehow, but we still dey thank God.
Okay. All right now. So coming to the matter we be say carry us enter today. Government they shout since say things are getting better. I say make I ask you, as a Naija person, tell us from your own sabiness as economy person, from person where they look day-to-day life of Naija person, you think say this economy dey better, abi is still dey struggle?
Now both of them. And the reason why I talk saying that both of them is based on evidence. So if you see where we dey 2023 and the policies where the new government don't put for place. So whether na subsidy removal, whether na forex amendment where they don't do, it don't cause in own wahala. But several other things where they don't do, we can see the evidence. So what do I mean? I think about 12 months ago, inflation went as high as over 30%. By that time, the implication is if you get 100 naira or 1,000 naira where they collect for salary, the thing where your 1,000 naira fit buy before, you know, fit buy them again because inflation don't buy them. Food prices go up. What that means is if you spend 30% for your 1,000 naira before, which is 300 naira, take chop. 30% no fit cover, no fit buy you food anymore. So all of this meant that Nigeria was in a very dark, difficult place. Now, if you look at the numbers today, from 30%, we are looking at I think about 15%. The best have come down. The reason for the numbers, we'll get down to that later. But when we say in terms of on paper, things are getting better. But in reality, things are still hard. And all the predictions for 2026 is saying that it go better, but it will still remain tough for Nigerians. So simply put, things are improving. Nigerians are reading the improvement in the numbers, but in terms of food, in terms of electricity, in terms of security, in terms of jobs, Nigerians are yet to see that.
Okay, if we won't go by this talk now, say, yes, things still hard, and things will continue to
need to get better. So it's not just about what they are currently doing. They are doing some things right, but there are also so many things that still need to improve. If you look at the predictions for this year, for 2026, then say what will drive the economy is service sector. So they are looking at telecom, they are looking at banking, they are looking at real estate. This is fine. But you see, all of this talk, they are in the urban centers. The companies are in the urban centers. All these companies that you are talking about, the telecoms, the services, the financial sectors, they are in the urban center. Nigerians, 70% of Nigerians still live in the rural villages. So it means that the improvement they are talking about is not going to be felt in the villages where you and I live. So that's the first thing that we need to fix. And there are lessons all around us in terms of how do we improve this. I mean, there are lessons that the books, that have been published that we can learn from, whether it's in terms of how Vietnam was able to lift its own people, how Korea was able to lift its own people out of poverty, how China was able to get its own people out of poverty. In all of these countries, the common thing is rural investment. In our own case, that is not happening. If you hear say that they do road, now road for city, not road to connect farming communities to city. That's not where it is happening. If you hear say then they drop budget they go fund cars and the luxurious lifestyle of politicians. That is not what will lift the country or lift Nigerians out of poverty. So when you ask the question, what is it that they are not doing? These are some of the things that they are yet to get to that ultimately can lift Nigerians out of poverty. It's about disciplined leadership. Right now, that is totally absent. We have in many places very reckless leadership that can proudly drive around in Rolls Royce when the average Nigerians cannot even afford one day food, and they are very proud about it. I was watching a couple of days ago some publications that was done by some videos that was done by Budget, and it was really heart wrenching for me to even listen throughout how they will allocate 37 billion naira to capital budget for a year, and they release less than 1%. But the same period, right, they release all the monies to buy cars. So it's about doing the right thing and targeting our economic interventions in the right places where it would connect and impact the lives of Nigerians. Right now, that is not happening.
Okay. Now, if we won't go that one now, you already mentioned, say, see what they're supposed to do, where they know they do. I'll come back to that. But it get anything where they do, where seem right now.
I mean, that's where I started from. When the president announced subsidy removal,
Yes.
All of us agree, say yes, subsidy removal needed to happen. Why? For many years, this was like the leaking roof. That was the pathway through which so many people from government just they grab and grab and grab government and their friends outside government. So it was a good thing that they did that. And I think many Nigerians also agreed that the multiple exchange rate system that we had in place had its own trouble. So those two things were very important strategic decision that any government needed to respond to. And it was quite interesting that majority of the candidates, whether it was candidate Tinubu or candidate Obi or any other candidate, they all agreed that subsidy needed to go. The problem, however, was the howness of how you execute that decision. So those two things, I think all of us agreed. But there was also something that the government said they would do, which was that once we remove subsidy, all the savings will go into something. So that was a promise that has never been met up till now. So I think we can just stay on those two because they are probably the biggest two economic reforms that sort of has shaped the context since this new government came to power. So they did the right thing, responding to those two, taking those two reforms. I think it's also fair to say that the effort to try and stabilize the economy since they announced those two policies seems to have been to also be working. Of course, it's arguable. So when you say inflation, people will say, but the only reason why inflation is coming down is because of the inflation. It changed the way they are calculating it. Similarly, they say employment is coming down. You and I know that Nigerians are not getting more jobs anywhere. But because of the changes that they have done to calculating employment, they say employment is coming down. Surprisingly, outsiders say this year poverty will increase. So it's 3 years
Okay.
ago and where we are now.
All right. Now, you don't talk this one, say, removing the fuel subsidy, harmonizing the forex market, that's freeing the market, say, it was a good thing to do. Everybody support, say, good. But anybody now fit talk, say, them benefit them. Because since the removal of that subsidy now, most Nigerians go tell you, say, now removal of subsidy and then promoting that parallel and real market for forex, say, now it cause the wahala where we dey today. Wetin be the benefits wey Nigerians fit talk say they don't get from the government doing the right thing?
And I think that is a valid question for every Nigerian to ask. Because what has happened is that those two policies, the immediate effect is it allowed more money to the federal government and to the states and local governments. So it's no longer an issue of we have leakages in the system. We've been able to block the leakages as a result of those two. Unfortunately, the biggest deficit, the biggest question this administration needs to answer to is where has those recoveries, those money, where they don't go? Who is benefiting? And you and I, we can answer the answer is, the answer is obvious. Simply put, has the cost of food gone down? No. Even if it has gone down on paper. Have they created more jobs? No. Even if on paper they say unemployment is going down. Have they created more schools? No, because the money has not actually gone into schooling. Instead, if you follow, if we go back to the video that I talked about that budget did, the money is basically going into paying themselves salaries, buying cars, traveling, medical treatments, procurement, building roads in cities where our people don't get to see it. So the biggest breakdown in all of this is that we are saving money, we are also collecting a lot of debt, but the people they are talking to be patient with them, they are not seeing the benefit. Instead, it's a case of monkey they walk, baboon they chop. The ordinary Nigerians are going to bed hungry. On the other hand, politicians have enough money to the extent that 1 year before elections, somebody they spend 30 billion naira to buy cars where they will take do elections. Another they, I mean, make I know carry us where you never ask us. But the bottom line is that there is more money in the hands of government across the levels, whether national, state, or local, but those monies never reach Nigerian hands.
Okay, now you talk something when we first start, say the way for Nigerians to really begin to feel now to do grassroots, rural investment. How Nigeria, how country people feel make sure say that one day possible? Like you talk now, states don't they get more money? Local governments then don't they get more money, even though that issue of allowing local government to run their money by themselves now still one big wahala where they on ground. So waiting people now feel do to make sure say now rural grassroots investments now we actually they push for. How we feel actually make our leaders accountable so that we go feel the change where we really need.
Princess, I go like, flip that question. Say, we they ask Nigerians to do too many things. Go do elections, na Nigerians. Make government do the right thing. You go say make Nigerians force them. It shouldn't be that way. When we have a sovereign country where there is democracy and the people willingly hand over their sovereignty to government, we cannot be expecting the people to be chasing government about again to do the right thing. It's wrong. And this is why I think everywhere this kind of crisis, economic crisis is happening, democracy is also being questioned. The people that needs to do the right thing, we have already handed over power to them. We came out when it was under the sun, under the rain, under the threat of kidnap, under the threat of insecurity, under the threat of terrorism, under the threat of banditry and all of that, to elect leaders. So the first thing I want to establish is that Nigerians are doing, the ordinary Nigerians, they are doing their part. The people that need to do their part is the leading class that needs to do the part. So that's the first thing. And why I think it's important to start this way, because all the countries that I mentioned at the very beginning, it wasn't the people that chased the government to do AMO. It was a policy. I mean, if you go back to the Chinese, development model, the central government decided every change was going to start from the rural community. So it was an agrarian society just like us. And they pumped money into community infrastructures. What are these infrastructures we are talking about? So things like community road, they invested in it. They did a lot of reforms around land ownership that allowed women and households to own land and to cultivate and do farming. They invested in rural electrification so that when people do farm and they take their farming products, the farm produce will not rot in the communities. They did the roads which allow rural farmers to be able to move their products from communities to markets. They created a lot of development banks that had money to invest in rural projects. The first thing this did was it increased the income earnings at the community level. And once that began to happen, all of the things that needed to be in place in the urban places were then put in place. So in terms of sequencing, it was first recognizing that we needed to be able to feed our people. And Nigerians didn't, the Chinese or the Koreans or the Taiwanese didn't need to go and start banging the doors and say you must do this before government did it. In Vietnam, it was the same. They didn't have to chase government to say, come and invest in this. Government did it. And once government started this project, people saw the benefit. People bought into that project, and transformation started. So it's a matter of sequencing. And this, if you have to put this in context in the Nigerian case, the last 3 years, and in fact, you will say probably the last 26 years, our emphasis has always been on the cities. We are looking at, building city roads because that's the one that people will see. That's the one that when international, people are visiting our country, they will see. But these are not the things that will transform Nigeria. It is the communities where 70% of Nigerians are. Don't forget, Nigeria is 70% informal market. So we cannot be building roads that doesn't connect the informal market to the formal market. We need to be more, we need to see the disciplined leadership. This is one of the missing parts that is really making it difficult for Nigeria to transform. So we hear every year from 2 trillion to 50 something trillion naira spent. The question is, where are those money going? If those monies are not going to the places where people live, where production, takes place, to connect with the places where production is taking place to the places where the consumption will take place, Nigerians will not, see the improvement. The final thing that I want to talk about is also that when you look at the examples from all of these countries that I talked about, they also understood the importance of trade. So all of the exports that started, in China back then. Today, China is one of the largest, trading country with so many other countries in the world. And again, you can see the connection. The production starts in the rural places, in the agricultural sector. Once they were able to fix that, it became a lot easier, first, to ensure that people don't go hungry. Because when you talk and say, if you don't get food for belly, you can't produce, you can't think, you can't create, you can't innovate. But they dealt with that first by ensuring that the agricultural sector was strengthened. And it's the same thing that you find in places like Brazil. Even though the only thing that Nigerians decided to go and learn in Brazil is cash transfer. Cash transfer is just a very tiny part of what happened in Brazil that led to this economic transformation. So our people, our leaders, they know what to do. It is the absence of the disciplined leadership that I think is at the root of this crisis.
Okay, if they follow by wetin you talk plenty solutions, you talk countries then we don't make their own happen, but you end up now by to say our problem now say we no get disciplined leaders. So do you think say we fit ever become like the China, like the Vietnam, like the Korea, where you take do example? Can we become like that?
We can.
How?
We can. Every country has its, goes through its own pathway. Nigerians have decided this is the pathway they want to follow. What does this mean in simple terms? Every 4 years, we organize elections. Nigerians come out, they vote, they elect their leaders. Now, if we continue to allow or elect our own thieves to office, we will continue to suffer. So that's the starting point. That Nigerians, it's in the hands of Nigerians to decide and determine the destiny of the country. We cannot afford to leave Nigeria to the hands of a few people to continue to decide how we live, whether we will grow or not grow, whether we will eat or not eat, whether we will live a safe life or not. So the elections, in my opinion, is a critical part of the things that needs to change um, in our country. And even though we are seeing changes, but the attitude of Nigerians also needs to change. I was reading a few weeks ago a report by, I think it was Yaga, that a large number of Nigerian youth says they are dissatisfied with the way elections are organized, and therefore they will stay away. I don't think it's the right people, it's the right attitude for anyone to say, because my votes will not count. We must make our votes count. That's the point. We cannot say, oh, because it won't count, so I won't go out. No, that's already accepting defeat. And that's where, because that's the only way we currently elect our leaders. We cannot stay away from it. We must participate. We must educate our people. We go disagree, but at the same time, we cannot stay away from voting. So that's number one. Number two, you see, civil society groups, I really they suffer with them. Because when I think about what they have to deal with, it's enormous. And it's a direct consequence of the failing leadership, failing reforms. So it's as if civil society groups are also overwhelmed. But this is demanding of civil society is civil societies need to step back and rethink. What do we need to do differently? Because we cannot be acting in the same way and expecting that there will be changes. In the last 25, 26 years, civil society groups have done enormous work around reforms, political reforms, economic, reforms. They've contributed to so many things, whether it's in terms of procurement, freedom of information, agricultural sector. Across all the sector, you find the presence of civil society organizations. So we have contributed to strengthening our laws, our policies, our programs. The deficit now is how do we then convert these better laws, these improved laws, these improved policies to tangible improvements in the lives of our people. Now, this is the big question that civil society groups need to deal with. And to be able to deal with it, they also need to question how they also work under the current context. Those years of naira rain or dollar rain, you don't pay. There is less money now for civil society groups. So civil society groups need to start looking in the direction of citizens, communities, well-meaning Nigerians to partner with them to do things that will benefit our people. Now, for many Nigerians, some of them also they think say, I'll give you money now. You take my money, you go lodge for one workshop for one massive hotels. What am I saying here? Civil society will need to rethink how they work so that they can partner with more Nigerians to cause the change because international sources of funding is drying up. This is the time that civil society groups must now begin to partner more with Nigerians and find creative ways to make all of the different laws that we have put in place since 1999 to begin to work for Naija.
Okay.
Just take an example of the procurement law. The procurement law speaks to a significant part of governance. We all know that 70 to 80% of the capital budget will go out through procurement. And the level of corruption that we have seen, just look at what the Transparency Index, recently released.
Transparency International.
Nigeria is still at this, yes, Transparency International, the index that, the Corruption Perception Index that they just released. Nigeria is still at the same level it was 1999. Our score has been between 20 to 25. Maximum is 26% out of 100. So there has been no improvement in terms of the leadership and accountability, or in terms of the quality of governance. So it's a case of we are voting, we are consolidating democracy, but in terms of the ability of our democracy to change our lives, there is still a huge gap.
Okay, now make we come back to some of the things then where you talk initially. You still mention, grassroots hand, that's make the touch rural places. That's where we still come back to local government autonomy. Where up till now, they still never allow local government to stand on their own to control their money. We come to the issue of election where you mention now, say, Naija people now fit na their hand the day to choose their leaders, to hold their leaders accountable. But we're there in a situation now where, even as the report talks, sometime last year, Nigerians then stand up to do we no go gree. Now then press down. As we're even talking right now, the National Assembly, they brought out some changes inside the election law, and Nigerians don't come out now say that clause of mandatory real-time electronic transmission of results, say they want them. The National Assembly, both the one wey first agree and the one wey no agree, they don't go back now, take no agree. Nigerians, they do we no go gree. E even reach yesterday. They said they won't force themselves enter the National Assembly. They use tear gas, push them out. So if you check all of these things, the power really dey Nigeria people hand.
It dey.
How?
I don't tell you the short answer.
Because everything where they try to do, it seems as they move one, the kind of gbasgbos where they get, they stop them. So how is the power in their hands? This rural talk where they talk, when all this insecurity they worry, even the Nigerian army, they don't come out, come talk and say, sometimes something where they block them to fit get access to the bad guys or to quickly respond when gbasgbos they happen. Now, sake of say, no good roads, no infrastructure, we go help them reach that place quick. Then they talk, not be today, not be yesterday. Even our station here, don't enter some places inside this Abuja, to take go do some report them. Some places no get light, some places no get road, some places now water now you go need to pass. And we they expose these things, but still nothing is being done. How is the power in the hand of Nigerians when nobody is listening?
Princess, all the people where they run Nigerian affairs, if we put all of them together, they don't reach 10% of Nigerian population. In fact, that is an over-exaggeration. Wait now, they're not going to reach 10% of the population, and they live among us. They live among us. If we take the example of the FCT, all of the people who they run the FCT, from the minister across all the districts, they live with us now. We know their houses. We know we meet them in communities. So if the only time we get to engage them is going to their offices, I think we are missing an important part of the community engagement. When I was living in the cafe gardens, there are some ministers that we knew lived around Life Camp, or senior advisors that we knew their houses. We will find a way to go and visit them. We will sit down with them. Because you see, some of these people too, when they are on their own, they feel reason with you. But when they don't dare with their people, they don't feel reason again. But the point is that Nigerians cannot say, because we try once, work, we know do them again. Now lie. This government with the office, you and I, we know they're too young now. We know for how long they were on the streets. Tinubu and many of them that are today running the show in the country, they were on the streets harassing Jonathan and the PDP administration. There's no reason why Nigerians should say, oh, we go road, they drive us, we know come out again. Change will not happen. It's unfortunate, like I said, it's not something that we should be asking Nigerians to do after they don't suffer, enter road, enter rain, enter insecurity to go do their elections. But unfortunately, it's our reality. So we can't back away from it and say we won't do it. Bottom line is the things that we are trying to do, or that some other people have done it. The example of Kenya is there now. When the Kenyan president introduced what was considered an unfair tax that would starve people, they marched on the streets. Of course, some people got shot, some people got killed. But when you also consider this, it's like what I think it's Frederick Douglass said, power concedes nothing without demand. If you don't make a demand on power, it will never make any concession. And I think that's something that we need to remind ourselves always. The people who get to office, if we don't tackle them, they won't do the right thing, unfortunately. And so we should be focusing more on making the change and less on the number of times that we need to tackle them. As long as we focus on what Nigerians need is employment, is safe country, is credible elections, is trusting society, and we continue pushing and pushing and pushing, it's not going to happen one day, one night, one week, but ultimately it will happen. For 25 years, don't forget, we were under military rule. 25 years, success, back to back. It took a long years for Nigerians to ultimately say bye-bye. Now that we have democracy, we cannot fold our hands and say, oh, because we don't try once, work, they kill this person, they buy that one, they arrest this one, they lock this one up, that we give up. I think giving up is not an option under the circumstance that we find ourselves. It will cost us more to give up, having come this far. And therefore, the only option that Nigerians have is to continue to safeguard what we all struggled to achieve, which is our democracy. And if there's anyone that is in office that's not doing our bid, we should all collectively stand up to demand that they do the right thing.
You still get Oladayo Olaide, a governance and strategy expert, joining us from Canada on Top Economy Today. Now, Dayo, before we begin to round up, make we talk a little about inflation. You've been mentioned, say some months back, inflation been the increase, even though as at even January here, ending of last year up until January, they said the inflation now don't reduce to 15.10%. And they still come out now to say government of recent do what they call rebasing. Say that now why the inflation they come down. I bet if you explain to us and to ordinary country people what this rebasing mean and how it get to do with inflation. And they don't also explain, say the fact of say they say inflation they come down. It not mean say price of things for market they come down. I bet explain what inflation mean, what rebasing mean, and how it be for the benefit of ordinary country person.
Say at the macro level, we calculate so many things. So whether na growth rate, whether na employment or unemployment, whether na poverty or job creation, or whether na even inflation. And all of these calculations we will do is to be able to tell us, is the economy improving or not? Growth will tell you, okay, looking at how much productivity took place in the country last year and now, it'd be like say we don't improve small, which means say we create more, we are producing more, and so there is more money going, that the productivity that the country is creating. Each of these different calculations get different methods. Okay. Unfortunately, there is nothing that stops a country from using its own preferred method. The downside of that is that governments now use it to politicize conversations. So what do I mean? When a government comes into office and they are doing their own things, they are, implementing reforms, and those reforms are not making impact, they politicize data. Politicizing data, in my opinion, is they now go and create their own new approach of calculating the particular index. And that's the rebasing that we are talking about. So they use a different formula now to calculate it, which now gives the impression that things are getting better, but in reality, there's no improvement. If you use the example of the inflation, as at the point the administration announced the two policy decisions that we talked about, subsidy removal and the
Unification
FX
of the forex
policy,
market.
harmonization as well. Everything went up. Everything went up. Inflation went as high as 33%. It became an embarrassment to the government. And this is where I blame, I think what the government did is essentially political. Seeing the effect of those two policies and inflation refusing to come down, they decided to do abracadabra, because that is what I see it as. The abracadabra they did resulted in inflation coming down overnight from over 30% to 15%. Now, if the abracadabra was now followed or backed with targeted policies that are making changes happen, Nigerians will not, fault it. But they did the abracadabra. But in reality, in the market, prices didn't go down. So if prices came down at all, right? It came down maybe a little bit, but not enough to account for the kind of jump that we saw in the inflation figures from 33% to 15%. That is over 50%. Now, the question anyone can ask, the simple question is, okay, has food prices dropped 50%? I'll leave you to answer that question. The other side is when you then say, okay, they also changed employment. Unemployment at a point in Nigeria was over 40%, according to the figures calculated by government itself. I'm talking about the
Bureau of
NBS.
Statistics.
Yes. Then all of a sudden, they did another magic and said, actually, unemployment in Nigeria is 4%. That means unemployment in Nigeria is even lower than unemployment in Canada. My sister, you can answer that question. Now, even when they did that, if Nigerians were seeing the jobs, they won't make noise. But they're not seeing the jobs. So now, if you work for an hour in a day, under this new calculation, you are taken as employed. So it means even if you are only working for 1 hour per day times 5, which is 5 hours out of the globally acknowledged 40-hour weekly work, you are doing only 5. In Nigeria, Nigerians are saying that you are employed because you are working for 1 hour. Now, in a country where minimum wage is probably 80,000 naira now, 77,000 naira.
70,000.
70,000 naira. So just break it down. If you are earning 70,000 naira for 22 working days, 22 times 24 will give you a particular hour. So divide 70,000 by that and tell me how much that gives you. That is what you earn per hour in Nigeria. So if you are earning we are doing only 1 hour and the equivalent of that is 1,000 naira. Nigeria now says you are employed with 1,000 naira for a household of probably 4. So the point here is that the Nigerian government has done its own abracadabra. in its, rebracing and recalculation of inflation. But the effect is only seen on paper. Nigerians are still hungry. Food is still expensive. If we look at the PwC economic outlook this year, they said growth will happen will go up to 4.6%. But the same report said more Nigerians will go into poverty. Don't forget, Princess, 70% of your earnings, the average Nigerian, goes to food. If you are spending 70% of your 1,000 naira, every 1,000 you earn on food, it means that if the prices of food alone goes down, Nigerians will feel the impact. That's an opportunity for the government to do something regarding food. Fix the food. Go and fix the rural, invest in the rural economy, rural electrification, rural roads, land ownership. Execute all of these different reforms. Pump money into the communities where Nigerians will feel it. Get more money into the hands of Nigerians. The government will have less to worry about in terms of cash transfers because you are already investing in the places where Nigerians work, where Nigerians produce, where Nigerians make a living. But if that is not happening, instead, you have a minister that is spending 50 billion creating bus stops. Hello?
Hi.
How does that transform or translate into economic upliftment for the Nigerian people? This is what I mean when I say discipline, the lack of disciplined leadership.
All right, Mr. Dayo, time no be with friend again. I'll just ask maybe 2 questions and then we go. But one thing I want to ask, as the government continue to insist, say the economy they better, and sometimes you go see the officials, they reel out different points where then they use, where Oyibo people they look and say, now BB grammar they speak. How long Naija people suppose wait before they go really begin to say they see economy they improve?
Princess, now the person wear shoe, sabi wear the shoe, they pinch am. It is in the hands of Nigerians to also determine how long they can wait for.
How do you mean?
It's not for me to be saying in 1 week or in 2 weeks. Nigerians have a stake in the country. If the government keeps making promises and they cannot see the promise materialize, Nigerians have every reason to ask questions. It's going to be 3 years in May since this administration came to office. If in 3 years the living conditions of Nigerians have not improved, I think Nigerians have been more than patient enough. Nigerians have every reason to ask questions. And it is not for the government to set the army and the military and the police after them. They too, while they were in opposition, marched on the streets. No police shot them, otherwise they'll be dead. No soldier throw fire on them. No. Nigerians have every right to speak out, to ask tough questions. It is the responsibility of government in a constitutional democracy to respond to those questions, not to harass, not to go and shut their accounts, not to set DSS after them to arrest them and detain them. No, that is not what we agreed when we handed over our sovereignty to them through elections. We handed over the sovereignty to them on the understanding that they will use those sovereignty to advance our collective well-being. When that is not happening, Nigerians have every right to stand on that sovereignty and ask questions.
All right. Finally, before I let you go, what thing you get to tell the government and then what thing you get to tell ordinary Nigerians when it comes to the betterness of the economy?
To the government, the simple advice is, if you are making more money, if you are collecting debt, if you are saving more money, it's only fair that as a good father, you want your children to also feel the benefit. You cannot be asking Nigerians to keep sacrificing, to keep bearing the pain while they see, politicians living lavishly, traveling, enjoying themselves. That's the simple thing. To sustain our democracy, the Nigerian leadership must invest in Nigerians. Make democracy work for the people. My advice to the people: we can't afford to give up on our democracy. It is ours. We worked for it. We struggled for it. If we have leaders that are not doing our bid, we still own the sovereignty to demand that the next people that will replace them actually are answerable to us. So we can't give up. And that's my advice to Nigerians.
Thank you so much, Ola Dayo Olaide, all the way from Canada. Say you join us today for Christ Radio and TV.
Thank you very much, Princess.
I beg, enjoy the rest of your day.
And you too.
All right, now you don't hear Ram, and this now where we go wrap up on top economy today for today. Person will be say sabi economy matter, sabi governance matter, don't yanam. It talk say them will be say then they government, not be by to use mouth say economy they better, economy they better. We need to see the workings. They say they don't come out for a subsidy. They say they do unification of forest markets. But country people say they never see the impact. Even when state governors them don't really confirm. Say truly, the money where they reach their hand from Federal Account Allocation Committee don't increase. Like what Oladayo talk, make them begin to feel this impact inside villages. Make road them they work. Make light they work. Make everywhere better, security tight. And at that time, Nigerians go actually come out true to say economy don't do better. They say economy not be number for paper. If economy they grow, people still they hungry. Now wahala be that. That now why you as a person will be say you be Naija person. They watch us, they listen to us until this economy begin to put food for table, put work for hand. Nigerians no go clap for this government. Two things fit they happen at the same time. Truly. Economy fit dey improve on paper, but common man still dey wey no dey feel am for pockets. E not be black, e not be white. Nigeria get problems, serious ones, but Nigeria also get some progress, whether we like am or not. Take everything wey you hear today, think am well, sabi am well, shine your eye, dey look until true Naija go become better. Thank you. Say you turned out with us. Remember, say next episode go come out soon, but continue to check us on all our social media handles. Like us, follow us, subscribe to us, share our pages for Christ Radio TV to take enjoy this program and plenty others then. Till I show for your screen again, my name na Princess Anyana. And no forget, your matter now we own for Christ Radio TV.